All right. Now, for those of you who are yawning after lunch, we're going to change that. So next we will have a spoken word performance by our multi-talented Halcyon alum and MC, Mariah, my favorite person today. Mariah's mission and mantra in life is some people do, some people never do, some people overdo. How do you do? Mariah's answer to this guiding question is that she works to uplift unheard voices. She has decades of experience as a poet and spoken word artist, and I, for one, am deeply honored to share the stage with her today as an MC and introduce her for this special performance. Mariah.
All right, you guys are about to see another side of me. I believe in bringing all that you are into the room. So this is actually my first time at a startup event performing poetry. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with snapping, but that's what you can do if you're feeling what I say during the piece. I'm going to start with a piece that I actually wrote about my grandmother, who was the first person I knew that was an entrepreneur and self-starter. And it's probably why I'm here the way I am today. I need your help to kind of clap to get us started. We're going to still keep it slow. Yep. Grandma's hands clapped in church on Sunday morning. Grandma's hands played the tambourine so well. Grandma's hands used to issue me a warning. She'd say, baby, know your blackness well. My grandmother's name was Natalie Lindsay. She once marched on Washington to hear a king's speech with my mother in her belly, but that's not why she's revolutionary to me. My grandmother's been collecting Black dolls for upwards of 65 years. Once, when trying to acquire a Black Santa Claus, the sales clerk told her it would be $100 more for the Black one. My grandmother looked down at her hands. She said, if it's money in this melanin, then the state of Virginia owes me thousands of dollars that my white counterparts have received to this day. No one in my family knows how, but my grandmother walked out with the Black Santa Claus and she didn't have to pay more for it. She used to collect Black and brown dolls because she read a study where Black little girls used to want white dolls because they said that they looked more beautiful. She said she wanted to remind me that I was beautiful. Wanted the whole family to know that we're worth idolizing. She used to carry Black and brown Sharpies in her back pocket so she could color us in the places we were left out of. She said, our melanin is here on purpose, that we were permanent. She always told me there was no way to erase me even when there wasn't representation in the space that we'd become it if we didn't yet see it. One day my grandmother passed away and I used to look down at these hands, these lifelines reminding me of all the Black sheroes who came before me, who said I could do it, who said, yes, I can. I followed a startup called Healthy Roots Dolls. Maybe you've heard of them. Now they're sold in Target. Funny how once we were sold on auction blocks and now we're sold in shelves. We know how to create our own hair through these beautiful dolls, and I want to pass these heirlooms down to my next generation so that they know they're worth collecting too. Sometimes I still put these hands together to feel this lifeline and clap or pray and think, grandma's hands clapped in church on Sunday morning. Grandma's hands played the tambourine so well. Grandma's hands used to issue me a warning. She'd say, baby, know your blackness well. And I do. All right. Now that we're warmed up, if you can't tell, pitching is my favorite thing. Storytelling is my favorite thing. I know a lot of founders dread that part, but I'm used to it from doing spoken word poetry. So it's an entry point, poet to startup founder, if you're wondering. This piece actually is really inspired by the founders of this great organization, Halcyon. It's so rare that we see women in this space, and I want to see that change. So that's what this piece is about. Who? We run the world. Women and girls alike move mountains, change culture, and create spaces. We be trailblazers. Fighting for equal pay by day and caring for our families by night, women have been leading charges for fights as sheroes, lifting spirits in our military as American heroes and with heads held high. From disability rights activist Alice Wong to Malala, we have been using our words to have conversations with gods, epitomizing how blessed we are to have people like RBG who changed laws to truly promote equity. We're in good company, creating businesses led by entrepreneurs like Sydney Montgomery. or people who are going to create Supreme Court justices and lawyers that look like you or me, Native women who stood at Standing Rock to protect the environmental integrity, suffragettes who fought so that we can vote in skirts or pants or anything in between, all while wearing a heart on our sleeves and bold line button-ups. Women across a range of industry raised their voices to engage in policy change, from grassroots and protesting in the streets to saying their names, to startup founders revolutionizing change, like Sylvia Rivera, a trans rights activist who started Pride as we know it to this day. And the ones who played games, the Olympics, we just saw the women wearing tennis shoes like Naomi Osaka or Serena before she even started a venture to seed ideas like the ones from me and you. We look to scientists like Jane Goodall to research animal species as our ecosystem continues to evolve. We look to clinical researchers like Kizumiki, who developed the vaccines to combat COVID-19. We read Harper Lee books that changed our views for an eternity. Listen to Arlen Hamilton talk about our first million by diversifying our income streams. We listen to Melissa about how to change the world through 1863, or Dr. Kuno making changes. We have book clubs to expand our knowledge, led by people like Oprah Winfrey, or our angel philanthropists like Halcyon angels, leading the charge in things and ideas we want to see succeed. Caring and cooking and tabulating while leading a staff meeting. We appreciate all the women in our lives across cultural divides, continents, careers, regions, identities, abilities, and dialects, who have contributed to the freedoms we now all shall not forget. Especially in times like now, whether you be girl, boy, or non-binary, how this globe turns, remember the women keep it on its axis. So maybe instead of saying amen, we should say a woman when we want to thank them. And now I want to just share two more pieces with you all, and then I'll get out your way. So I want to share a haiku. In 2014, I was the national haiku champion. And this is a haiku that's about startup. Fly a plane. While you build it with your team, put your mask on first. Okay, I lied. I have two pieces left for you guys, not just one, but I really feel called to do this one. This is actually a piece. There's not a lot of data out there as far as investment in queer, trans, non-binary founders, but especially in Black, queer, trans, non-binary founders. Hey, you have one in front of you. But, I think it's beautiful that I've actually done a lot of evangelizing for Halcyon because I love the work that they do. They're really about it. They live out their mission. And for them to have queer people at the helm says volumes. For them to have queer Black people at the helm says volumes about their values. And there have been a lot of queer founders that have privately reached out and just said it was nothing like they've ever experienced in other programs. So this piece is about whether you identify as anything underrepresented, you can identify as an ally. And this piece is about being an ally to my own brother when he came out. So I want to share this piece with you. From what textbooks tell me, Mahatma Gandhi stood at a mere 5'5". A rather frail-looking man, he could have only been about 100 pounds soaking wet. But the peace he exuded from his palms pressed together in prayer were enough to straighten crooked views. The strength he carried in his heels was enough to weigh out the imbalance of apartheid that had held India in shackles for centuries. My brother stands at solid 6'1", more head than body. I had no idea of the strength he bore in his bones. His almond eyes have always possessed a wisdom well beyond his mere 15 years. My mother called me last week in the smallest voice I've ever heard escape her lips. Her words did more than knock the wind out of me. They pinpricked the air from my lungs when she said, and I'm from the South, y'all, what does your brother think he's doing? Trying to join this gay straight alliance at the school? Does he not know we're holy people? When I refused to sign the paperwork, he stopped eating my food. Who does he think he is, Gandhi or something? I took a moment to respond to the full of what she said and then replied with as much reverence as you can hold for a queen who's just leached out her bloodline with the dropping of her last sentence. I'll talk to him. I've always wondered if the dial tone hit my mother more like a red flag or a cold shower, causing her to see the beauty in what she intended to be an insult. Because in 2024, I'm proud to call my brother a modern day Gandhi in this world full of bigots. I wish more people could clear the hate from their eyes because it sits there like oil, blinding them to what true love really looks like. If my brother was Gandhi, y'all, I'd be his Bindi, his third eye guiding him through the destruction of this world. I would warn him that society likes to break down Black queer people. That's why God built his bones like white columns on a temple. That's why God put all that knowledge between his temples. And to know when he's in the midst of four white walls again, when they try to straitjacket his truth, it's just society trying to place him in yet another box. And he's always been more of a circular man to me, full of unity and life, and he's in good company, compasses, kaleidoscopes, hell, even this earth. And remember, once they tried to flatten that too out of fear, so stand. Even when others tell you you're not welcome to sit, cry out. Even when you think you fall on deaf ears, and remember, I love you. Even when this world forsakes you. And after some time, I realized I never actually hung up on my mother. I guess I just clicked over to the other line. But when Gandhi's calling me, who the hell am I to keep him waiting? All right, y'all. The last piece I'm gonna do, I want everybody to take with them. A lot of times we can feel like imposters, whether we're talking about being the only VC that looks like you, being a disruptor in your field or with your startup. And this is just about taking up space. And I hope that you do that and you meet someone that you don't know today and you stand in your power. This is called museum. It's a haiku, so it's gonna be quick again. Count the syllables if you want to. Make a living museum of yourself. Charge them all to pay attention. Okay, so now I'm actually taking off this hat and putting on a new one. You guys know the vibes by now. But access to capital is often a game changer. This is what it's like when you're a multi-hyphenate. If you know, you know. And Halcyon, they understand just how vital it is for founders, especially those who are focused on social impact, like some of you in the room. As a founder, I'll be paying special attention to this panel because we'll explore how to better invest in impact-driven companies. And please join me in welcoming the next group of experts who will share their insights on the ever-evolving, interesting landscape of finance. Clap it up.